Hi guys and girls and lords and ladies and anybody else. I'm smoking my Cobbett, which is appropriate, I suppose, as Cobbett of the Shire. And in it I'm smoking the last drops of my peanut buttercup that I was sent. And I'm very, very sad. It was a beautiful, aromatic, tasting really of peanut butter. But all good things must come to an end. I thought I'd read you one of my stories again today, and then I'll put it in the bucket so that you can read it yourself if you want to. It's called The Seaside, but it's more about a storm at sea, at the seaside. And I just hope it comes out right. The dark grey clouds, heavy with rain, tumbled across the sky, driven on by the cold, lazy wind that preferred to go through you rather than round. The white-topped waves throwing salty spume into the air and racing up the wet grey sand to eventually crash, exhausted, on the shingle, with a smack and a rattle that almost overcame the sound of the wind. Above, the odd seagull braved the storm, and making no headway, turned and allowed the wind to carry it at full speed into the distance, before turning again, as if to continue a game of kiss-chase. Further out to sea, a lone sail-boarder skims across the surface of the waves, dipping and disappearing into the trough behind the waves, only to appear again as he climbs to the next wave, as he enjoys the adrenalin rush of risking disaster in the stormy seas. On the cliffside, seabirds take shelter from the storm, looking like splashes of white paint against the dark background. Occasionally, a bird risks the wind and is carried upwards into the sky to disappear over the cliff. A dog walker comes into view, head bent and collar up, eyes stinging from the flying sand and spray, his dog following miserably behind, also with head down and coat streaming water. As the man turns and walks up the beach, the wind catches his hat, and it tumbles down the beach into the waves. The man turns, gives a wave of annoyance, and resumes his walk towards the steps and home. In the harbour, small crab and fishing boats bob and dip, the fishermen, safe in the warm arms of the Jolly Fisherman pub, drink beer and discuss the great storms of the past, and look forward to calmer seas and a successful voyage. A distress rocket booms high in the air, and they rise and rush to the lifeboat. In minutes the boat rushes down the ramp and battles the waves to bring in a yacht that foolishly ignored the storm and is now stranded, having lost power. As darkness falls, distant lights can be seen, some flashing at different rates, give warning of rocks or sandbanks, whilst others travel slowly across the skyline. These are the great cargo ships that dare any storm in their quest for profit. Gradually the storm, having exhausted itself, begins to calm, and peace descends. It's one of those things that I wrote at the Writers' Club before I took over as leader. I used to live near Great Yarmouth, one of the fishing ports in the old days. And we lived sort of in a small village about 10 miles out inland. But sometimes the storms rushed in, and the tide coming in stopped them from going back out to sea. And I wanted to write something that expressed the power of those storms. So I hope you liked it. And as I say, I'll put it in the bin at a later point. I'll finish with a joke, as I usually do. In the morning, Tom calls his boss. "Good morning, boss. Unfortunately, I'm not coming into work today. I'm really sick. I've got a headache, I've got a stomach ache, and both my hands and legs hurt. So I'm not coming into work." The boss replies to him, "You know, Tom, I really need you in today. When I feel like this, I go to my wife and tell her to give me sex. That makes me feel better, and I can go to work. You should try that." 2 hours later, Bob calls. "Boss, I followed your instructions and your advice, and I feel great. I'll be at work soon. Oh, by the way, you've got a lovely house."